She balanced 2 steaming cups of coffee in one hand, the other clutching a tray stacked with desserts. The chatter of the restaurant died the moment Gabriel Johnson's laughed, a sharp, cutting sound that made glasses tremble. "Tell me, Maya," he said, leaning back, a cruel smile curling on his lips. "What do you think of my investments? Surely someone serving coffee has some genius advice." Laughter erupted around the table. Waiters froze. Phones hovered in midair. But no one noticed the fire in Maya's eyes. No one knew the woman before them had once moved billions with a single command. And no one, not even Gabriel, was ready for the words that would stop the room and change everything. Before we continue, I want to speak to you for a moment. If stories like this remind you that kindness still exists, if they make you feel something real in a world that's getting louder and colder, then I'd love to have you here with us. This channel isn't just videos, it's a tiny corner of the internet where good people come together, where we believe in second chances, in hope, and in humanity. And right now, you're early. You're part of the very first people building this family with me. So if you want to grow with us, if you want more stories that touch your heart, go ahead and subscribe. It's free. It supports the channel more than you know, and it tells me that there are still people out there who believe in kindness just as much as I do. If you have subscribed to this channel, I can officially say, welcome to the family. It was just another lunchtime in the Porch, versatile American dining hub, one of Washington's oldest local eateries, situated at 608 North Main Street. This steakhouse and American restaurant operates with flexible hours, opening at 11 a.m., and it was just another shift for Maya. Maya balanced 2 steaming cups of coffee in one hand, the other clutching a tray stacked with desserts. The aroma of chocolate and roasted beans mingled in the air, a warm contrast to the chill of the marble floors beneath her polished shoes. She moved with the practiced grace of someone who had learned to be invisible, to blend in, to never be noticed. But today, she couldn't hide. Gabriel Johnson's leaned back in his chair, the kind of chair that cost more than most people's apartments. A smirk tugged at the corner of his lips. He was surrounded by men in tailored suits, women in designer heels. Laughter erupted around the table. And then, pointing at her as if she were a prop, he said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Tell me, Maya, what do you think of my investments? Surely someone serving coffee has some genius advice for me." Maya wondered how Gabriel Johnson's must have learnt her name. She thought, of course it must have been from the name tag on her uniform. The room erupted in laughter. Glasses clinked. Silverware scraped against plates. A faint whistle of amusement echoed off the polished walls. Maya froze for a heartbeat, the tray trembling slightly. Her heart hammered. Don't flinch. Don't react. Her eyes flicked toward the papers fanned across the mahogany table. Investment charts. Balance sheets. Projections that promised billions. But something felt off. Subtle anomalies. Tiny discrepancies. A shell company buried deep in the footnotes. A familiar pattern, one she had seen before. Her pulse quickened. Fear pricked the edges of her mind. Is this real? Am I imagining it? But instinct screamed. This isn't just a number error. Her hands steadied. She adjusted the tray and took a breath, feeling the heat of the coffee burn her palms through the thin paper cups. I can't let them see, I know. Gabriel laughed again, louder this time. Leaning back so far, it seemed he might tip over. His friends joined in, mocking, joking, patting each other on the shoulder. The arrogance in the room was suffocating. Maya's stomach tightened. But beneath the fear, a spark of determination ignited. I see it. I see everything. Her mind raced, calculating. Every possibility. Every risk. The men around the table were blind. They didn't see the trap. But she did. And if she said nothing, billions would burn. She stepped closer to the table, careful with the tray. Chocolate mousse wobbled precariously. She set it down gently, never breaking eye contact with the papers, never allowing Gabriel's gaze to intimidate her. You don't know me. Gabriel noticed her hesitation. His smirk deepened. Well, he said, his tone playful but edged with menace. Don't tell me someone with a uniform and a tray is too shy to give an opinion on a billion-dollar deal. Her stomach dropped. She felt the weight of every eye in the room on her, but she couldn't let them intimidate her. She took another breath, feeling the heat of the coffee through her fingertips. The aroma grounded her, reminded her she was still alive. Focus. She bent slightly, lowering her voice just enough for him to hear, but loud enough that the nearest people could catch fragments. It's a trap, she said, each word measured, deliberate. The laughter stopped. Mid-laughter. Glasses frozen in midair. Forks paused halfway to mouths. The room fell silent. Gabriel's smirk faltered. A flicker of disbelief passed across his face. What did you just say? Her pulse raced. Hold steady. Don't show weakness. She looked at the spreadsheets, the notes, the projections. Her mind moved faster than anyone else's in the room, calculating, connecting, uncovering. This wasn't just luck. She had studied patterns like this for years. She had survived situations like this before. I can't fail. Not this time. She straightened, eyes narrowed, voice calm, steady. It's not what it seems. They've masked the debt. The assets look solid, but it's borrowed strength hidden liabilities. If you go through with this, you lose billions overnight. Gabriel leaned forward, eyes narrowing, scanning her face for any hint of bluff. A bead of sweat trickled down his temple. Who is she? He thought. Why does she know this? Maya felt the tension prickling her skin. Her chest tightened. She wanted to turn, run, disappear. But something in her, a stubborn streak that had kept her alive for years, pushed her forward. She knew she had to speak. She had to warn him. Her mind flashed briefly to her past. Before the uniform, the trays, the invisibility. Before the forced disappearance. Before she learned what betrayal truly meant. She had been brilliant once, a rising star in the world of finance, untouchable, unstoppable. And one man, her superior, had been terrified she would surpass him. He had framed her, destroyed her reputation, forced her to vanish. Never again, she thought. Gabriel's lips pressed into a thin line. He glanced around the table, his friends shifting uncomfortably, realizing their amusement had vanished. His empire, his pride, threatened by a woman in a uniform, holding coffee. Maya's gaze drifted slightly to the documents again, mentally tracing the web of deception. The numbers didn't lie. The shell companies, the hidden debts, the offshore accounts, they were all there. She could navigate it blindfolded if she had to. And I will. Gabriel's voice was low now, almost cautious. Explain. Maya took a step closer, careful not to spill the coffee. She lowered her voice, letting the words carry the weight of hidden knowledge. If you sign these contracts, you're buying their liabilities, not their assets. The man behind this, he's not your competitor. He's using you. The silence that followed was suffocating. The faint hum of the restaurant, the clatter of distant dishes, the low murmur of other tables all faded. Every eye was on her. Even the chandelier above seemed to hold its breath. Maya felt her hands tighten around the tray. Her knuckles whitened. Fear licked at the edges of her mind, but she forced herself to focus. She was brilliant. She had survived worse. She could handle this. A small part of her wondered, do they even understand? Gabriel's fingers drummed lightly on the table. He was calculating, observing. A predator now aware of another predator in the room. He didn't speak, but the tension coiled around the table like a living thing. Maya's eyes flicked to him, then back to the spreadsheets. She felt a thrill she hadn't felt in years, the thrill of being seen, of being heard, of being dangerous again. This is just the beginning. The waiter's bell rang somewhere behind her. The tray wobbled slightly. She adjusted her grip, letting the hot coffee cup touch her palm, grounding her. Her heart pounded. Sweat prickled at her neck, but she held steady. Gabriel's gaze bore into hers. Slowly, deliberately, he said, "Keep talking." Maya's lips curved into a faint, almost imperceptible smile. She leaned slightly closer, You're about to walk into a trap, and it's one you won't see coming until it's too late." The room was frozen. The laughter, the mockery, all gone. Every friend, every colleague, every rival knew something had shifted. And Maya? She felt alive, because for the first time in years, she was no longer invisible. She had their attention, and she would not let them underestimate her again. Gabriel sits frozen, the room silent. What exactly does Maya know? And how far will she go to turn this trap into her advantage? Maya pulled the tray from the table and set it aside, the faint clink of porcelain echoing in the silence that followed her warning. She unfolded the documents carefully, letting her fingers hover over the charts and notes. Numbers don't lie, people do. Gabriel Johnson's leaned forward, his elbows on the table, eyes narrowing. "Show me," he said. No smirk, no joking. Just raw curiosity and maybe a trace of fear. Maya swallowed, feeling the heat rise in her chest. Her eyes scanned the pages, each line, each number, each name. She spoke slowly, deliberately, letting each word land like a pebble in still water. "Look here," she said, pointing to a cluster of shell companies listed in small print at the bottom of the investment sheets. On paper, everything seems legitimate. The profits, the assets, the projected growth. But these companies, they're empty shells. They hold nothing of real value. Their only purpose is to mask liabilities, hidden debts, buried in layers of deception. Gabriel frowned, leaning closer. The subtle scent of his cologne mixed with the faint aroma of chocolate mousse still on the table. "Empty shells? Are you certain?" She nodded, her voice calm, but her heart pounding. "Yes. And it's more than that. Look at the offshore accounts linked to them. Funds moving in patterns that aren't just unusual, they're deliberate. Someone is orchestrating this with precision. Every transfer, every document, every minor error. It's all a setup. They want someone to bite. They want you to think you're buying value. But the reality is, it's a trap." Gabriel's eyes flicked to the charts, then back to her. "Who?" Maya hesitated, letting the weight of the moment sink in. She could see the gears turning in his mind. The billionaire's intuition was sharp, but she needed him to understand the stakes fully. "I have to tell him. He needs to see it, as I saw it." "Adrian Crowe," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Gabriel froze, the name hanging in the air. The only sound was the faint hiss of the coffee machine in the corner. His eyes narrowed. Adrian Crowe? Maya's mind drifted briefly, unbidden, to the past. Flashback, 2 years ago. Maya sat in a sleek office, the kind with floor-to-ceiling windows that framed the city like a painting. The sun glinted off polished chrome and glass. Adrian Crowe sat across from her, the man who had been her mentor, her guide, her protector in the cutthroat world of finance. But now, he was her executioner. "You're too talented," Adrian said, a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I can't have someone like you surpassing me. Not now. Not ever." Maya blinked, confusion clouding her mind. "I don't understand. What are you talking about?" Adrian's hand hovered over a stack of documents. "You built the algorithm that tracks investments, that predicts market movements. Brilliant. But brilliance can be dangerous, especially in the wrong hands. I'm afraid of what you might do, of the empire you could build. So I've taken precautions." Precautions. The word echoed in her memory like a death sentence. Evidence planted. Fake emails. Falsified transfers. Every trace of her work twisted into a lie. And the authorities, they believed it. I was framed, trapped, invisible. Her career destroyed overnight, her reputation shattered. And for years, she had vanished into anonymity, taking a new name, a new identity, surviving by blending in, serving coffee, carrying trays. Gabriel's voice snapped her back to the present. "You knew Adrian Crowe was behind this?" "Yes," Maya said, her jaw tightening. "And he's doing it again. He's orchestrating this investment, your investment, so it looks profitable. But the real plan is to bankrupt you. To destroy your company. And I know exactly why he's doing it. Because he's afraid. Afraid of what I know. Afraid of what I can do. Afraid of what you might do if you realize the truth. Gabriel leaned back, exhaling slowly. His fingers tapped the polished surface of the table. Why tell me? Why now? Maya's eyes met his, unwavering. Because if you make this deal without knowing the truth, you lose. Not just money, reputation, influence, everything. And I won't let him get away with it again. Not to me. Not to anyone else. Gabriel studied her, the sharp lines of his face softening slightly. I see. And you trust me enough to share this? After all this time hiding, all this danger? She hesitated, memories pressing in, years of fear, isolation. Watching him, Adrian, rise while she counted pennies, surviving off shadows and anonymity. Do I trust anyone? But she had no choice. Her silence could cost everything. Yes, she whispered. Because you need to know before it's too late, and because I need someone I can trust, even if it's just a fraction of myself. Maya leaned closer, pointing to the spreadsheets again. Here. These transfers, they're deliberate. The shell companies, the offshore accounts. It's classic Adrian Crowe. He hides liabilities in layers, so no one sees them. But I've seen it before. I know his methods. And I know this. If you proceed without caution, you will walk straight into the trap. Gabriel's face was unreadable, his fingers drumming a quiet rhythm on the table. The restaurant's background noise, the clatter of dishes, faint conversations, seemed to fade into nothing. And in this silence, only truth remains. Gabriel's voice broke the quiet. How do I know you're not exaggerating? Maya's chest tightened. She wanted to shout, to scream the years of injustice and betrayal. Instead, she calmly slid a tablet across the table. Screens flickered to life, showing complex financial graphs and hidden accounts. Because I know him, and he underestimates women who disappear. Gabriel's eyes widened. Recognition, fear, admiration, something shifting, like a subtle current beneath the surface. Maya's voice softened, almost a whisper, but sharp enough to cut through the tension. I survived once. I can help you survive now. But you need to trust me. Gabriel leaned back, studying her. The billionaire mask of invincibility wavered. Who is this woman? He thought. What does she know that no one else does? Maya's mind drifted again, brief flashes of her past life. Nights spent analyzing markets, her name whispered in corridors of power, the thrill of being recognized for brilliance. And then, the fall, the sudden, crushing betrayal. Adrian's laugh echoing in her ears as her world collapsed. I won't run anymore. She looked up at Gabriel, determination blazing in her eyes. He's dangerous. And if we fail, he will destroy both of us. The room was silent. Even the chandelier seemed suspended, holding its breath. Every person at the table sensed it. Something had shifted. The air was electric. Gabriel's jaw tightened. Then we won't fail, he said. Maya's pulse quickened. Yes, but can he really survive what's coming? She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. We have to move carefully. Every step, every decision. One mistake, and it's over. Gabriel nodded slowly, a new respect forming in his eyes. Then show me the trap, and how to turn it into our advantage. Maya's lips curved into a faint, wry smile. Finally, someone who can play the game. And as she began to explain the intricate web Adrian had spun, her mind drifted briefly to the viewer, to the audience who might be listening, watching her story unfold. When someone faces injustice, we all wonder what we would do if it were us. If you've ever felt powerless watching someone's life destroyed, let this story remind you there's more ahead. Don't let this fight go unseen. Gabriel realizes the man Maya is warning about is not just a rival, he's a relentless enemy, capable of destroying everything. And for the first time, Maya sees the full magnitude of the stakes, her past and present colliding with deadly consequences. The city, outside the window, glowed in the evening light. Somewhere, Adrian Crowe was moving, unaware that the ghost of the past had returned. Maya's eyes narrowed. Gabriel Johnson's leaned back in his chair, the city lights of Manhattan reflecting off the glass walls behind him. The penthouse office was silent, save for the faint hum of air conditioning and the rhythmic tapping of his fingers on the polished table. "You'll have access to everything," he said finally, voice steady. "Financial team, internal reports, my personal analysts, you name it." Maya blinked, heart thudding in her chest. The room seemed too bright, too clean, almost sterile. She swallowed. This is it. One slip, one miscalculation, and it could all end. "Thank you," she whispered, though the words felt inadequate. Her hands fidgeted at her sides. "Trust him, or die trying." Gabriel's sharp eyes studied her, narrowing ever so slightly. "I hope you understand, this isn't a courtesy. If you fail, we both lose billions, and I don't recover mistakes like this." "I understand," Maya said, her voice calm, her mind racing. "And I understand him more than he knows." The next morning, Maya entered Gabriel's headquarters. The towering glass building gleamed under the early sunlight, a monument to power, influence, and wealth. Inside, a labyrinth of cubicles, screens, and analysts awaited. The hum of the financial world buzzed like electricity in the air. Gabriel stood at the top of the main atrium, arms crossed, watching her with measured curiosity. "Follow me. Let's introduce you to the team." Maya's pulse quickened as she followed him through corridors lined with screens streaming real-time stock data. Traders shouted into headsets, numbers flickering across monitors. Every face seemed focused, sharp, ambitious, and every one of them could be a threat. Gabriel led her to the executive suite. "This is your playground and your battlefield. Work with them. Learn everything. Find the cracks. And don't trust anyone blindly." Maya nodded. "I don't trust anyone, but I'll survive." Hours passed. Maya navigated through spreadsheets, financial forecasts, and confidential emails, her mind moving faster than anyone around her. Patterns emerged, subtle deviations in internal reporting, missing memos, off-schedule transfers. Her intuition sharpened. This isn't just random. Someone is working against us from the inside. Gabriel approached, leaning over her shoulder, eyes scanning the same data. "What do you see?" Maya didn't look up. "Sabotage. Subtle. Deliberate. Someone is feeding Adrian Crowe information. Or worse, they're actively working to undermine this deal from within." Gabriel's jaw tightened. "Insiders?" "Exactly," Maya said. Her fingers flew over the keyboard, tracing transactions and connecting dots across departments. Multiple accounts, emails, rerouted, delayed approvals. Whoever it is knows this company intimately, knows how to manipulate us, without leaving obvious traces. Gabriel ran a hand through his hair. "Damn it, how deep do you think it goes?" "Deep enough to ruin us, if we don't act now." "Deep," Maya admitted. "And Adrian knows I'm here." As the hours turned into evening, Maya worked tirelessly, piecing together a puzzle that spanned continents and accounts. Gabriel watched silently, occasionally glancing at her with something unreadable. Respect, caution, curiosity. For a brief moment, the tension between them softened. Gabriel broke the silence. "You're impressive," he said, almost reluctantly. "I underestimated you." Maya allowed herself a faint smile. "Almost, but never fully. I've had practice," she said lightly. But inside, her heart skipped. Why does his approval matter so much? There was chemistry here, an unspoken connection. Neither dared to name it. Neither could. The stakes were too high. But the sparks, they're there. Undeniable. Late that night, Maya discovered a major discrepancy, an internal leak that nearly exposed Gabriel's entire investment strategy to Adrian Crowe. A single insider had rerouted critical reports and triggered auto transfers that could have cost billions in minutes. Her heart pounded as she realized the truth. Adrian knows I'm here. He's watching, planning, waiting. She called Gabriel into the war room. The screens flickered with data streams, red alerts marking anomalies. "Look at this," she said, pointing. "If we hadn't caught this in time, the entire acquisition would have collapsed." "Someone inside is working for Adrian." Gabriel's expression hardened. "How did he? He must have known you'd come. He knew you'd warn me." Maya's hands clenched. "He does. He's planning a counterstrike." Gabriel's eyes met hers, the tension between them electric. "Then, we adapt. We turn it against him." Maya nodded, a cold smile forming. "Finally, we're no longer just reacting. We're controlling the board." As Maya worked, a quiet reflection crept in. When someone manipulates the world from the shadows, it feels impossible to fight back. If you've ever felt powerless watching someone's life controlled by greed or deceit, remember, there are those who fight in silence. And sometimes, all it takes is one person to change the course of everything. Don't let this story go unheard. Stay with us. Witness the truth unfold. Over the next few days, Maya and Gabriel formed a tense but growing alliance. They devised strategies, tested hypotheses, and confronted the leaks in real time. Every decision became a calculated gamble. Every conversation, a chess move. Maya noticed subtle changes in Gabriel, the sharpness of his mind, his instinct for risk, and an unspoken respect for hers. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the edges of their professional relationship blurred. A shared glance lingered a moment too long. A small touch of hands over a document. Quiet admiration in their eyes. Sparks. Yes, but both knew it could be a dangerous distraction. Then, the next crisis hit. One of Gabriel's trusted analysts suddenly vanished, leaving a critical account exposed. Transactions stalled. Alerts went unnoticed. Within minutes, billions were at risk. Maya acted instantly, tracing the breach back to Adrian's orchestrated manipulation. Gabriel leaned against the console, jaw tight, as Maya rerouted funds and corrected the internal sabotage with precise efficiency. Sweat beaded her temple, but her hands moved with practiced precision. Finally, the system stabilized. Maya exhaled, wiping her brow. "It's done. But it's only the beginning. Adrian knows I'm active. He's watching us now. And he won't stop." Gabriel stepped closer, voice low, almost a whisper. "Then we won't either." Maya felt her pulse quicken. Not just from the adrenaline of surviving another attack, but from the closeness of him. Focus. Focus. This isn't the time. Yet. A late-night alert pinged on Maya's tablet. An encrypted message had been sent from an unknown source inside Gabriel's company. She opened it, eyes widening as the contents scrolled across the screen. "We know she's here. She's interfering. Prepare for consequences. AC." Maya's lips pressed into a thin line. Adrian Crowe knew. He was coming. And now, the game had escalated. Gabriel's voice cut through the silence, firm and decisive. "Then we strike first." Maya's heart pounded. It's no longer just about money. It's about survival and revenge. The night deepened around them, but inside the war room, two minds aligned, calculating, planning, and ready to turn the tables. Sparks of trust, strategy, and maybe something more flickered in the darkness. Maya sat in the dimly lit strategy room, screens casting a cold glow across her face. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, poised, tense. Every number, every line of code, every financial transfer mattered. One wrong move, and Adrian Crowe would expose them both, ruin Gabriel's empire, and drag her back into hiding or worse. Gabriel leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching her with an unreadable expression. "Are you sure this will work?" he asked. Maya didn't look up. "It has to. Otherwise, we lose everything. Not just the investment, not just your company. Everything I fought for. Gone." The plan was simple, on paper, but deadly in execution. Adrian Crowe had grown complacent. He had no reason to suspect Maya was back, orchestrating moves with precision he had once underestimated. But Adrian wasn't a fool. He was dangerous, calculating, and always a step ahead. Maya had decided to feed him false financial data, complex, believable, designed to lure him into making a costly mistake. Gabriel would simultaneously reposition assets, creating a trap of their own. Timing is everything. 1 second too early or too late, and it all collapses. Hours blurred into tension-filled silence. Maya monitored Adrian's reactions from hidden channels, tracing his moves, predicting his next steps. Every ping, every notification could be a trap. She leaned back, jaw tight. He knows my style. He remembers the mistakes I never made. And the ones he used against me. Gabriel broke the silence. You've done this before, haven't you? Maya paused, a shadow crossing her eyes. I've dealt with men like him. Once. And they cost me everything. I won't let it happen again. Gabriel stepped closer. You're risking more than money here. Your name, your freedom. Her eyes met his, sharp and unwavering. I've been ready for years. I just didn't have the chance. The tension between them wasn't just professional anymore. It was personal, electric, a spark of something neither could deny but both tried to ignore. The first round of their plan began. Maya sent the falsified data, tracing its path into Adrian's network. She watched him bite the bait, restructuring his assets based on the false figures. Gabriel's analysts worked in tandem, shifting billions in investments to create openings Adrian would never see coming. It worked. Partially. Then an alert flashed red on Maya's screen. Adrian had anticipated part of their move. One of the shell companies she had counted on to mislead him had already been reinforced, obscured. He was adapting, predicting her tactics as if he had known them all along. Maya's pulse quickened. He's seen this before. He knows how I think. He's using my own methods against me. She didn't panic. She never did. Fingers flying across the keyboard, Maya improvised. She twisted the data, masked it in layers Adrian would overlook, and added subtle triggers that only someone who knew his old schemes could anticipate. This is it. The moment of truth. Minutes stretched into eternity. Screens filled with numbers, graphs, and blinking alerts. Maya's brain moved at lightning speed, anticipating Adrian's next counter. Gabriel watched, tense, silent, his trust in her growing despite the danger. And then, it happened. Adrian took the bait. His assets shifted dramatically, exposing vulnerabilities that Maya and Gabriel could exploit. Gabriel exhaled slowly. He's fallen for it. Every move is ours now. Maya allowed herself a brief smile, but it was sharp, calculated. She didn't celebrate yet. The real danger is coming, and he knows we're here. Maya leaned back in her chair, eyes scanning the screens. She's risking everything, not just her future, but her life, to correct an injustice no one else would see, the narration whispered, almost to the audience. Stories like this are rare. Watching her fight, witnessing her courage, it reminds us that standing against power isn't easy. If you feel the weight of injustice yourself, staying with this story is more than entertainment. It's a way to honor bravery that often goes unseen. As the night deepened, Adrian struck back, but publicly this time. The financial media exploded with reports of Gabriel Johnson's company under scrutiny. Rumors of mismanagement, insider leaks, and potential scandal spread like wildfire. Investors panicked. Headlines flashed. Billionaire's empire at risk. Gabriel slammed his fist on the console. Damn it. He's not just playing. He's trying to destroy us in public. Maya's eyes narrowed, determination burning. Good. Let him reveal himself. Let the world see him for who he is. Gabriel looked at her, admiration and concern battling in his gaze. You're relentless. I've never met anyone like you. Maya felt a flicker of warmth but pushed it aside. Focus. The fight isn't over. Not by a long shot. The office phone buzzed with urgent calls from anxious investors. Screens pinged with alerts of market fluctuations. Maya and Gabriel moved in tandem, analyzing, countering, recalibrating. Every step was a risk, every decision a gamble, with billions and reputations at stake. And yet, the thrill was intoxicating. For the first time in years, Maya felt alive in the battlefield she had once been forced to leave. Gabriel watched her, silently impressed by her precision, her calm under pressure, and something else he couldn't name. The beginning of something dangerous and irresistible. Suddenly, a secure message appeared on Gabriel's private terminal. The sender was masked, the message encrypted. "I see you. I know what you're planning. You cannot hide from me forever. Prepare for consequences. Adrian Crowe." Maya's hands froze on the keyboard. Her pulse raced. He knows everything. And now, he's escalating. Gabriel's voice was steady, but his eyes were hard. "He's coming for us. And this time, it's personal." Maya swallowed, her mind racing through contingency plans. No one will ruin this. Not him. Not anyone. The night outside was dark. Inside, two minds aligned against a common enemy. Strategy, deception, revenge, and maybe something else. Quietly growing between them, the summit room gleamed under crystal chandeliers. Glass walls reflected the city lights of Sao Paulo. Executives whispered, journalists murmured, and the air smelled faintly of expensive cologne and tension. Maya stood at the edge of the stage, her laptop open. Files projected on the massive screens behind her. Every eye was on Gabriel Johnson's, but every mind would soon be drawn to her. She inhaled deeply. This is it. Every second, every calculation, every sleepless night led to this moment. Gabriel leaned close. "Are you ready for this?" His voice was calm, but his eyes betrayed the stakes. Maya met his gaze, unwavering. "I've waited 3 years for this. Let's finish it." She began presenting the evidence, each slide a nail in Adrian Crowe's coffin. Shell companies, offshore accounts, falsified contracts, all meticulously traced back to him. Every number was cross-referenced, every transfer authenticated. The room went silent. Adrian sat across the table, feigning calm. But Maya saw the flicker in his eyes. "He's nervous. He knows he miscalculated me." "Ladies and gentlemen," Maya's voice was firm, precise, commanding attention. "What appears to be an opportunity for investment is actually a sophisticated trap designed to siphon billions and destroy Gabriel Johnson's company. The architect of this scheme is Adrian Crowe." A murmur ran through the room. Cameras clicked. Phones lit up. Adrian's confident mask cracked. Maya revealed the final piece of evidence, a digital signature linking Adrian's current scheme to the fraudulent operations that ruined her life years ago. Screens split. Left side, Adrian's original fraud code. Right side, the new trap code. Identical. Adrian's face paled, his lips parted, then closed. Words failed him. Gabriel stepped forward, voice steady. "I trusted Maya's judgment. And she's proven that the truth can't be hidden, no matter how powerful the liar." Maya's eyes scanned the room, resting briefly on Adrian. "This man cost me my career, my freedom, my life. Today, he pays." She explained how she had traced every hidden account, predicted every move, and anticipated every loophole Adrian might exploit. Each revelation was surgical. Every executive, every investor, every journalist watching understood that Adrian Crowe was exposed, cornered, powerless. Maya glanced at Gabriel. The respect in his eyes. The trust. Something else. Growing quietly, but intensely. He caught her gaze, his hand brushing hers for just a moment. Sparks. A shared thrill not just of victory, but of connection. "We survived this together." As the proof sank in, The narration lingered. Maya risked everything to expose truth, justice, and deceit. Think of those who face betrayal and injustice without a voice. Staying with this story is more than witnessing triumph. It's acknowledging courage the world too often ignores. Let this story remind us to honor those who fight when all seems lost. Adrian tried one last move, a desperate counterattack via a hidden financial algorithm designed to crash Gabriel's company instantly. Panic flashed on his face as he realized Maya had anticipated it. Every line of his code had been traced, every contingency accounted for. Maya's fingers danced across the keyboard. In minutes, the algorithm was neutralized. Worse for Adrian, it had been turned against him. Assets frozen, accounts exposed. Every plan he had counted on to save himself imploded. Gabriel watched, awestruck. "You've dismantled him, completely." Maya didn't answer immediately. She was already thinking 10 steps ahead. This isn't just victory, it's justice. Adrian's world collapsed in real time. Investors turned, legal teams swooped in, journalists reported the downfall. The man who once humiliated her, who stole her career, who forced her into hiding, now stood exposed, powerless, defeated by the very mind he had underestimated. As Adrian was escorted out, furious, desperate, and handcuffed, Maya caught a subtle flicker on her screen, a notification. A small offshore account, still active, one Adrian hadn't touched. She froze. He's not finished. He always has one last trick. Gabriel leaned in, tension coiling in his stance. "What is it?" Maya didn't answer immediately. Her mind raced. "He's got one final card, and it's dangerous. But I know exactly how to stop it." The summit room erupted in applause, cameras flashing. Maya smiled, cold, precise, victorious, but her eyes told a different story. The war isn't over. Not yet. And the game is far from finished. The morning sun spilled across Sao Paulo, golden light reflecting off the sleek glass towers. Gabriel Johnson's office hummed with quiet activity, a stark contrast to the chaos of the past weeks. Maya stood by the window, arms crossed, watching the city wake. For the first time in years, she felt peace. The news had broken overnight. Adrian Crowe, the man who had stolen her career, destroyed her reputation, and forced her into hiding, was neutralized. Legal filings confirmed frozen assets, indictments, and criminal charges. Every piece of evidence she had gathered had worked. Justice, finally, had been served. Gabriel approached, coffee in hand, eyes warm. "You did it," he said softly, almost in awe. "You saved the company. And yourself." Maya turned, letting the sunlight catch her face. For a brief second, the shadow of doubt and fear that had followed her for 3 years seemed to vanish. She smiled, a quiet, confident smile. "We did it," she corrected, her voice steady. Together. Gabriel handed her the coffee, their fingers brushing. Something unspoken passed between them. A shared acknowledgement of everything they had endured, everything they had fought for. Maya's chest tightened slightly. He trusted me. I trusted him. And somehow, in all this chaos, it feels like there's more than just respect here. Gabriel's gaze softened. "I never doubted you for a second," he said, almost a whisper. "But I also never imagined I'd meet someone who could outsmart Adrian Crowe and survive." Maya chuckled softly, eyes sparkling. The first laugh in years that wasn't hollow. And yet, here I am. Alive. Free. Finally, they stood close. Close enough that neither wanted to step back, their connection undeniable, a quiet promise of more than partnership. As the tension of the past months faded, the narrator's voice lingered, softly, almost contemplatively. Sometimes, the world rewards courage and resilience in ways we never expect. Watching Maya rise again reminds us that even in silence and shadow, brilliance can prevail. If her story moves you, staying connected ensures you witness every triumph of the unseen hero. Stories like hers are rare, but they're the ones that remind us that justice, ingenuity, and perseverance can change everything. Maya turned to Gabriel, her eyes scanning the bustling office. Analysts were already reviewing the newly secured investments. Screens flashed, phones rang, and papers shuffled in organized chaos. Everything was under control. Every system optimized. And every threat Adrian had posed dismantled. Yet, even as she basked in the victory, a small voice in the back of her mind whispered caution. Nothing is ever truly over. Power has its tendrils. And Adrian, he never played fair. Her phone buzzed with an encrypted notification. She paused, eyes narrowing. A single line appeared on the screen. You think it's over? Check the Meridian accounts. Unknown. Maya's heart skipped a beat, but a smile curved her lips. Good. I like a challenge. Gabriel noticed her expression. Something wrong? Not wrong, she replied, tucking the phone into her pocket. Just unfinished business. Her voice carried certainty, calm determination, and a spark of excitement. There's more to uncover, and I'll be ready. He stepped closer, hand brushing hers again, closer this time. Maya's eyes met his, a silent agreement passing between them. And for the first time in years, she felt unstoppable, not just because of her mind, but because of the trust, the partnership, and perhaps the promise of something deeper. What will you rate this story from 0 to 10? And what part of the world are you watching from? Comment your country below. Let's build a global community rooted in kindness and second chances. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends. Your support brings us closer to our 1K subscriber milestone and inspires us to keep creating more emotional stories of resilience, healing, and Black excellence. Thank you for being part of our journey. Your presence matters more than you know. Hope to see you again.